Hi, you're listening to Kitsap County Squatch Watch. This is where we will discuss all things Sasquatch related, as well as paranormal, cryptid, and UFOs, because we're into all kinds of weird stuff. Today's episode is we're interviewing Jamie from Belfair, and she's had experiences in California, Belfair, and up near the Oregon border, camping with her family as a child. She's going to tell us about that right now.
I always feel like something's watching me from these woods. I get tripped out here at night, and Mikey has me really spooked about these white people. What do you guys what do they call? He told me they lived all in the back along the power lines back there, and I found out it was not true after 20 years of freaking out in here at night, shutting all the blinds and shit. He just did that to mess with me, but it's still in the back of my mind, right? So Katie and I are sitting out there, and I would have thought it was one of them if I didn't hear the growl. And so Katie and I were sitting out there, and we're just watching for the stars. And I'm just like, you get those spooked feelings, right? I'm just like, whoa, got this thing. And I said, Katie, I looked at her and I looked at Ryder, and I said, if something growls or moves anywhere, and I just keep the flashlight would come on and off, and I keep going like this, trying to get eye shine everywhere because I'm all paranoid. And I'm like, if something comes, I'm out of here. You're all on your own. And I put the flashlight down. It stopped working. Iggy, put the flashlight down. It stopped working for a minute, and just as I went to go pick it up and shake it, I heard, and there were no dogs out there at the time. We had Angie and Stubby, and they were both in here asleep, and the door was shut. Mike was in here, and I heard this growl that was as deep, like it made the hair on my arms raise. No smell, no nothing, but you could hear very soft, almost careful, calculated crunching right there, like where the silver playground is in my backyard, the old school one right here, right past this tree right here, that silver play right there, almost like if it would have walked out, it would have came out right to the monkey bars. And I heard that shit, and I didn't even say anything. And as I took off running and screaming, like, ah! I was like, I didn't want it to go this way to come around, but I thought, holy shit, no, if that thing's got the gate this big, it's gonna get me. I'm gonna go this way, run past it. Hopefully I'll make it. Came running the house. And I don't know. Ryder stayed out there the whole time. He didn't even know I'm screaming out the window over there. Ryder! I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go get my. He's like, whatever. I made Mike go out there and get him and walk him in with the gun because I swear to God, I don't know what it was. And I know there's other stuff because when, years ago, remember Angus? So when he was a puppy, a baby puppy, he came from Lizzie. So Lizzie's dog is Angie's mom. And so anyways, he would try to go back over there sometimes until we put the fence up. And he got over there one time, and it was like 11:30 at night. And Matt comes in crying, screaming out, Mom, you gotta go get him, you gotta go get her. So I'm like, I'm not going out in those woods. Bigfoot's out in those woods. She's like, no, Mom, there's like houses. Bigfoot goes up to houses, he bangs on the side and shit. And I'm like, he throws stuff at him. I'm like, I'm not going out there. She's like, oh, you're crazy. I said, you go. She's like, no. I'm like, you're crazy. So I'm like, God, I gotta go get the dog. So I get up, get the flashlight, go out there to get the dog. He's way out there. I don't know how I found that little fur ball because he was like this big, just a little fur ball, And I found him, and I picked up, and I'm walking halfway through the woods, and I'm thinking happy thoughts, because I don't want to freak myself out because it's pitch now because I can't hold this flashlight and hold the dog, at the same time. So I'm just like, dear God, please. And so as I got maybe 10 feet just right through here, I got the creepiest feeling. I can't say it was a bad smell. It was a trash smell that came up really quick. But even Angie, I could feel him kind of shudder. And I got like the willies. And I took off fucking running, missed the bottom step, and broke my foot. And everybody always said, how'd you break your foot? And I said, running from Bigfoot. Because I know there's something out there, but I mean, there are a lot of help, but there's something creepy. And sometimes at night, even when there's no wind, once or twice, and Katie could attest to this because we've been sitting here when we had the old couch here, and bam, on the side of that, just fucking shook the house once. And I was like, what? And the dogs started going off, and that was it. But the creepiest one is the one I sent you the video to, and it's hard to see anything, but you can hear me go, Marcus, is that you? And this happened 2 months ago, I think. You can see on the date on the ring cam. And anyways, Marcus gets up really early and goes to work. And he is up, and he goes to work usually like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. But he's also known to roam around, He's a night owl, He would be chopping wood at 2 o'clock in the morning if it didn't make noise, So it's
That's
not...
me with cleaning. I'll get like a cleaning bug and I won't stop until it's just done.
That's me, especially when I'm pissed. And so, anyways, he is, so Marcus has been known, and he parks, the way the cars were parked were that Yukon, so it was my car, the green Jeep, was up front in the driveway here. Next to me was the Yukon, which is higher. And on the other side of the Yukon was Marcus's van, and he drives his mom's old gold Honda Odyssey. Okay, so it kind of goes low, high, low. So Marcus has got the double doors on both sides of the van. And he's been known to like piddle around with his, put stuff in for work. Anyways, it's not uncommon for him to be out there. We have a Ring camera, and it has a sensor that the bleep, bleep, so it lets you know. And it's usually a dog or a leaf or something like that. Now, since I've become older, I wake up every morning between 3 and 4 o'clock, so I'm wide awake. Well, the dogs want to go outside. And so I opened the door. Before I let him out, I had to make sure that the gate was closed, and we use this really high-power flashlight that's by the door because Ruby, the hunting dog, is known to bolt, and she runs like 100 miles an hour. So anyways, I want to make sure the gate's shut before I let him out. Ruby usually runs the hell out. I mean, she bolts. You open that door, it's like, she's so skinny too. She slithers through the crack and she's gone. Nothing keeps her from going outside. She plays in the rain. She plays in the snow. Anytime the door even cracks, she's there and she's out. She's a hunting dog. She wants to be outside all the time. I opened the door. She started to bolt out, and you might even hear me on the video go, "What's wrong, Ruby? What's wrong?" She starts to bolt out, and as I pull the flashlight, she made it maybe 2 steps past the threshold, and she just halts and comes back in behind me and sits there and just kind of whines. You can kind of hear it on the video. And so I got the flashlight, but as she's doing that, she goes to bolt out. I had the flashlight up, and when I turned it on, I clicked it, and I don't mean to ever flash it over that way because I don't want to get them in their windows because it's super high power. I usually mean to go to the fence, but I did. And as I did, and I brought it over, it looked like it was right either at Marcus's or it popped up from the passenger right about the middle. So it's a Yukon where it popped up from. So right about, see that crack between the driver and the passenger window right there? Mm-hmm. So right about there, but on the other side, it stood up, and because it went like this, it just popped up all of a sudden, but it was thin. It was really thin, and it had real creepy fucking eyes. And then it just was gone. So as I go, and I went, whoop, and you hear me come back over. So I was like, whoa, as I got the eye shine, I said, "Marcus, is that you?" You hear me say that on there. And I bring it back over, and I can't see it, but I'm like, what? You hear me go, "What was that?" And as I go to take it back over, I catch something right, see where the windshield meets the hood? Mm-hmm. The head pops out of the crack like this, and the same eyes, and looks right at me, and then gone.
What color was it?
It was just, okay. There's a video that people have. It's very skeletal almost, mm-hmm. but not like the skeletons you see with the bones. Mm-hmm. More like you see people make those skeletons kind of move. They move weird like this. It was like that. That's kind of like, very, very, almost, I want to say faceless, and just those eyes. And the eyes were real beady and small, but it was tall. And, yeah, I was tripping out. I even asked my neighbors if they had camera. They had notification at the same time of movement, but they didn't catch anything on this side. And I mean, I was freaked. I still won't go outside at night.
Freaks me out because that sounds like what I saw behind the tree. It had like bits of brown through it, but it also had like gray, but it also was very thin and
yeah, almost like it was somebody was controlling all of its joints at different times to move. You know how they do those computer things and they move like this? You'll see a lot of them. Like I don't know if you ever watch Jack Osborne ghost hunting or whatnot. He has this thing that when it gets the ghost, it will move. Like you'll see dots and then like wrist dots and then dots and then it moves kind of like this, just like that. It was really I still will not go out there in the dark at night. And when Ruby didn't go, it freaked me out. I mean, I'm like, that dog, she's probably out there and trying to get through the window probably in there right now. She wants to be outside. She wouldn't go nowhere. And it really, and so Marcus, like, I sat up, I came in, I was like totally normal. I'd been up at least an hour, and I was like, wow, it's really, really, really weird. Now, the sensors didn't go off over here for me, like I said, because I just opened the door to let them out. Once the dogs went out, they went off. But my neighbors had sensors at the same time. When I sent them the video, their sensors went off on their trees over in this area, but it didn't catch anything. Isn't that creepy? I'm like, oh. So then it kind of freaks me out too, because, and this is a story that I've only been told by Mikey through James and Justin, who witnessed it. And this is actually, I'm pretty sure it's in our goalie right there. Apparently there's a lot of stories about that goalie. I don't know any but this one, but I want to know more. So, and my husband's friend, if you're going down the hill, that house on the right at the goalie, he lived there. He just sold it like 3-4 months ago. And I babysat his grandson there once. That was during the day, and I was so scared I wouldn't even go near that window where the goalie looked. I don't know why, it was just spooky. But apparently, Jane and Justin were coming home, or coming here. It was before Justin lived here. And they were coming down, and I can't tell you if it ran across or if it was just crouched, but almost what I picture in my head that Mikey described to me, that James had said, identical. That's the first thing that popped in my head. I'm like, did I just see that cuckoo thing that's supposed to be living down? You know, I heard the story about 15 years ago that lives in the thing over there. But I guess Mikey has a lot of stories about that goalie. And because I guess they used to walk through there. You can shortcut through Razor over there or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so, and the other one was on Razor Road, and I think it was Bacchus and Davis. You'd have to ask, Mikey knows a lot.
Like Sasquatch use those power line things to travel. When I was in high school, my mom and I were driving on Johns Prairie Road coming towards Belfair, and this thing walked out in front of us, and we were in her 2002 Subaru Forester, and it just filled the windshield, and we didn't see its head, but we saw from the shoulders down on the left side. And it just crossed the road in a couple of seconds, and my mom hit the brakes and screamed, and I was like, that was Sasquatch, and she's like, no, it wasn't, and she kept driving, and I was like, let's go back, and she's like, I'm not going back.
Oh my God, see, that's me. I'm like, let's go cheat. I'm saying no as my car is turning around and I'm going. That's me. You know, my cousin's a ghost hunter in Japan, and she invited me to go, and I said, oh yeah, she wants to go to that forest. You know, the one I'm talking about where everybody goes.
Oh, the suicide forest?
Yeah. So she got permission to go in there. And so she's going to go. And I was like, oh yeah. She goes, I said, yeah. Well, first off, if I could, she gets a deal or something on tickets. If I could go, I said, 2 things. Good running shoes, diapers, and rubber pants. Because I'm gone. I'll go with you all the way in there. But the minute something comes, bitch, I'm fucking gone. Oh, shit in my pants. But I'm like not scared of the people, you know, the ones we have here. There's a Kitsap Paranormal Society my friend belongs to, and she's going to have him come over because I've always been interested. I haven't seen him. Have you ever heard of Witch's Ball?
Oh, yeah.
So my best friend Cindy got me a Witch's Ball, and because she had one. And so I was like, what? So ever since we've got the Witch's Ball, it's died down a lot. But it's not, I still see him. Like, as a matter of fact, I just had one over there the other day in the broad daylight. But, again, they're coming out for that. But, Bigfoot-wise, I wanted to tell you the story when I was a kid. So I told you about the one when I was 8, we were going camping, and I saw him. We were in Oregon, and we had that van, and I don't know if you know, like the 70s, you know, the groovy vans, everybody picks up and open the doors. I call it the porno van on wheels, you know. It even had blue shag carpeting up the wheel and on the ceiling, except where the sunroof was. And that was a big thing to have back then. It was all custom. My dad was all proud of it. And so in the back was a bed, and then there was like a little refrigerator, and then a space. And then there were 2 windows in the back where the bed was, and the doors would open. And then there was a door on the side, but there was no windows on the side except for mom and dad up here, and of course the windshield. And so anyways, between the bed and the 2 captain's chairs and a table, and then mom and dad, they took my sister's porta crib, and it wasn't like nowadays, the little things. It was wooden, and it was like a damn crib. It just sat on the floor. And so my sister was in there, and I remember we were driving, and I ran up to go tell my mom something, or to see where we were at, and look out the window, and I looked over, and I saw very clearly, and I swear on my grandson's life until this day, as clear as a bell, I saw Bigfoot just standing, and I was like, now, I was really into the Loch Ness Monster, and I was kind of into Bigfoot because I had big feet, and everybody's like, oh, you're Bigfoot, you know? So, and, you know, and I always watched, like, Bionic Woman, and it had Bigfoot on there, and I was, like, went to Universal Studios and saw the fake Bigfoot, so I was kind of getting into it. I wasn't totally, I had never seen any, like, the footage that they showed the old guy, now they see it all the time, the very first supposed footage they have of him, like, where he's running looking at the camera, you know? I hadn't seen any of that, so it was, I wasn't convoluted, so to speak. You know, I wasn't jaded in any way. It was just clear. And so I just remember thinking, my dad, we got kicked out of every zoo because my dad and the monkeys, he would get him to throw shit at him. He got apes to lunge him to fall in the moat. So we were banned from San Diego Zoo and everywhere else. So I thought a giant monkey. So I was very familiar with monkeys, you know. And I thought, whoa, that's a big ass monkey, you know. But he wasn't black. He wasn't gray. He was, you know what orangutan color is? That kind of
rusty orange.
Yes, but not more on the brown rust side than he would be on the orange. If you know who Danny Elfman is from Oingo Boingo, Danny Elfman side, you know, like poof, carrot top, you know, poof, that kind of orange. So like that. I loved orangutans, and so I thought, oh, you know, so, and then I was like, whoa, something ain't right. But I was like, what? And I remember like running, trying to watch and look, but my dad's going, right? So I take off and I bolt and I get back in the back and I'm looking out the back and I see him bend down at the river, at the road, and he had both hands and he was drinking water, but he wasn't crouched. He was kind of like bent, sort of like, almost like he was trying to release gas in a way. And, just drinking and drinking. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. So I run up front because I want my dad to stop, right? So I go up front and my foot got caught in the damn crib and I fell and broke my loose tooth out. So we were a little too far at that point to stop. I don't know if he would have. But then when I was 15, the big one, this one's freaky. So we went camping. My parents they'd sold the van, got a real motorhome. And as a matter of fact, I had a picture of it so you could see, but you're going to kind of get it. It's the kind where it's all one piece. So it looks like a van in the front, but then it has the cab over the top. So there's a bed that sleeps to with the window. And then you come in, and the door's right behind the passenger. And then there was a couch, and then a table, and you can make that into a bed. There was a couch over here, and then over here was the kitchen, bathroom, and then this like a little vanity, you know, thing, and then the bedroom. And anyways, I told you my sister, my older sister was, she's gone now, but she was developmentally disabled. She was pretty high functioning. She went on to marry another developmentally disabled person. And so she was like, she's 6 years older than me. And she was like on the level, she maxed out at like a very naive 10, 11-year-old.
Yeah.
So that was Sherry. And then my little sister, Kimmy, who was, if I was 15, she's 8 years younger than me. So anyways, and my mom and my dad. And so anyways, we were driving up to Sutherland here to go visit some family, and we had decided to stop because it was just nice, you know, it was gorgeous. It was summertime, it was July, it was right around my birthday, and so we just decided to stop, and my dad loved to camp. And so my mom liked to camp, but in hotels or motorhomes, you know, that's why we got the motorhome. And so we stopped and we set up, and it's like 4:30 when we got there, maybe 4:35. I just remember it was really nice, and I remember thinking how beautiful and clear it was. And we were at the bend of the river, so we pull in and we get in, and the river had a real sharp bend. If you looked up this way, there were some houses across that were like scattered, and you could see like from the smoke maybe coming from a chimney or a barbecue or a burn pile or something. But at night, when it was going down, you could see a spotty light here or there. Not very populated at all. Mm-hmm. More cabins than there were people in them, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And you could see them if you like really, 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 really looked. And then going up the river was kind of hard to see, but just a lot more trees because there was a sharp bend right there. And so we parked, we set up camp. I want to go throw rocks. My sister does too. And my mom's like, okay. So my dad finally says, okay, he's going to take us down there. And we go down to the river, we start skipping rocks, and it's just so, you could just hear the river going. And at this point, it's about 6:30. Mom and Sherry are in the motorhome, and they're getting dinner ready. And I just remember thinking, in California, it seemed to me like the sun set a lot faster in the summer than it did here in Oregon. I mean, here, of course, it's, way late. It's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. But I just remember thinking, I love warm summer nights. It always reminds me of being at Disneyland, But I'm camping, my second favorite. So I'm just taking it all in. And we hear this, and now I'm confused. I can't remember if I heard the dog barking. My sister said the lady screamed first. But anyways, the dog, this is dog bark. And then this woman scream, bloody murder. And it's like like somebody's getting their slit. I mean, it's just like a scream of somebody in horror. Like if you hear an accidental 911 call of somebody that's being murdered, it would sound like that. And so it was just awful. And right after that, there was gunshots and bam, 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 just pop, pop, pop. And a scream look at the hair on my arm standing up. The scream was so terrifying. There was a movie called Willow Creek. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think
Okay, so I've watched Expedition Bigfoot. I've watched every show out there. And my little sister, you call her right now, she'll tell you the same thing. She has done the same. We have always tried to find that sound. I've heard it and go, well, yeah, maybe that's not it, And the next one, maybe, no, that's not, because there's something to it that I can't explain. And my little sister will tell you the same thing because I call her up, tell her, watch this one. There's a movie called Willow Creek. And that howl in that movie is legit. When we watched it, I literally said, I was like, it terrified me. And it sounds so stupid, but when you hear it, you know it. And it was horrible. And it echoed. It just bing, bang, bing, bang. And then the lady screams again. Bam, 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 shots again. And we were like, at this point, my dad's got us. He's running. He's got us both by his hands. He started to take off without us. Must be where I get it from. But he did I think he knew my mom would be pissed. So he grabbed both of us and Brent starts running back up this time. So it was crazy. So anyways, he decides he's going to go. He puts us inside the motorhome, tells my mom to lock the door, and my mom's like, what's going on? Because my mom hears the gunshots too. Now, this is when I learned that my dad had a gun, and I never knew in all my 15 years that my dad had, let alone know how to shoot him. I didn't know he knew how to fly a plane until it passed in a 7-seat private jet, Cessna, and saw my dad on the controls in the fucking co-pilot seat, and I was like, oh! So a lot of things I learned, But he goes and gets in his cabinet, gets his box out, gets his gun, goes, I'll be back, and I'm like, oh! So I crawl up in the window up there, and I'm watching, I'm crying. He came back about an hour later, maybe, and so he was just like, real, whew. So I wanted to sleep, usually when we go camping, and my mom and my sisters, my older sister being developmentally disabled, she could control her a lot easier, and then the baby, the little one, of course, so they had to sleep inside, and so I had to that night too, and I was pissed, because my dad was really worried, He later told me the reason why he always slept outside. But the reason why was for things like this, he said, because you get close to the motorhome or whatnot. So I saw him out there, and I was like, oh, so that night we went to bed. I always slept. I have a habit of being a thrasher sleeper, and I would roll out, because Sherry and I would sleep up at the top above the driver's cabin where that window was, and I would have to sleep up against that window. If not, I would roll out. And I can't count how many times I fell and hit my head on that dining table or landed on my grandma that was sleeping in the bed, whatever. So Sherry was my protector, my railing. Well, that night I was like, oh, hell no. Because if that sucker comes and sits to the window, he's not taking me, he's taking that one. So I made her, she didn't question it. And I was like, all right, cool. I later told her and she laughed about it like 20 years later. But anyways, I saw my dad sitting out there. I saw the light, the fire. And I went out there, and he was sitting out there, I think a cop smoking a joint, and I was like, Dad. So I sat out there with him, and we were talking about the day, but it was kind of scaring, not just me, my dad wasn't normal. My dad was always very, I mean, he was an actor, so he could act really good at things, but he wasn't acting very well. I could see he was like, anything moved, it was like if you went, he was like, so I was like, okay. And I knew he had the gun somewhere near him. So we were sitting out there talking, and all of a sudden we heard this, like, it almost sounds hollow in a way, like if you were to take a plastic bat and hit a wiffle ball right in the middle of it, like that. Do you know that boom sound? Iggy. And it was boom, that pop, pop, pop. And then it stopped, and we were like, huh. And we waited a minute, and then it sounded like it was going from here to there to here to there. Eventually, it was on both sides. It was coming in, and it was getting close. It was coming in. There were some whoops. Now, we didn't make any whoops back, because at this point, we thought they have found us, and they are coming, because it was like, poof, 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 poof. Now, my dad didn't want to freak my mom out, because my mom has a really bad habit. Like, when we would have earthquakes, because, we grew up in Huntington, California, in Huntington Beach, we would have earthquakes. And obviously, they're happening, right? One time my bed went all the way across the room. My mom would come flying, and how she made all three of us kids' rooms in 2 seconds, I don't know. Slammed the door up and yelled, "Earthquake!" My teeth popped out. She goes, "Earthquake!" Take off, run into each room, and then just freak out, right? And we were just like, what? Waking up. If we were awake, we knew what to do. So my mom had a really bad habit of getting completely hysterical. And apparently my Uncle Fred, my mom's brother, had already told my dad about that. And that's apparently why he said, make sure but don't let her know you have a gun, because then she'll freak out about that, because she was hysterical about that. And then after, she was like, whoa, wait a second, because she heard the stuff too. And she just thought it was a dog. She's not thinking. She's just in there doing whatever. Where my dad, he's like actively hunting Bigfoot. And this time I'm 15, 16. So I'm like, yeah, we're down. And I'd already seen them, So anyways, they just started coming in. So it was like, it was a pattern. It was almost like they would go one up, one down, you know what I'm saying? So it was almost like it was Morse code in a way. And it was really fucking creepy. And the way it echoed, and the way the river, and just that boom, 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 but the ooh, ooh, the really, and it just makes the hair on your eye. It was just creepy. And man, we got in that motorhome. My dad sat in that passenger seat, the driver's seat all night. The reason why we didn't leave, you're going to sound like Bigfoot on there. The reason why we didn't leave is because, my mom. So if he would have packed up and got everything going, my mom would have been like, why are we leaving at, 4 a.m. and freaking out? And it would have got Sherry going, you know what I mean? And so, and I was fairly calm, but when Sherry started going, her behaviors could go off. So, and it would take a little bit to get her calmed down. And so she was fine. So my dad was just, he did the right thing. You know what I mean? But I was like, fuck no, if we were going to be eaten, would you have left? He's like, well, I would have shot him. And I was like, that would have pissed him off. What if he would have missed? And he's like, well, then I would have just taken off. I was like, well, but yeah, so that was and that was in 1982, and that was near Sutherland, Oregon. So, cause we were about an hour out of, we left, from Huntington Beach, and so an hour out of Sutherland, maybe took us an hour and a half the next day to get there. And it was crazy. Every time I see, there's certain movies that will almost mimic that whole trip almost in a way. And I can always tell when they're going to be like ones I want to watch or ones that are fake. Now that ever since that experience, if that makes sense, because I'd be like, oh my God, that looks like a documentary, but that's made up, you can just tell. But man, girl, like you said, if you hear it, there was no smell either. There was no smell. Lots of there wasn't a lot of campfires, because it wasn't a campground, but it was a camping spot, and it had like maybe 2 or 3 hookups, and then you could put tents throughout wherever. You didn't pay. Like one of those places, there was a guy who would eventually come around in a truck, and then like you would pay him for the spot or whatever. I don't even know if we even saw him. But another story I kind of know, and this is from Writer's Other Grandpa, Terry. Do you know Terry? Right, Justin's.
I think I met him a long
tall, skinny cowboy.
Time ago.
So he worked for the Department of Natural Resources for years out in Okinawa. So, did you go when we took Justin's ashes out to the property in Twisp? Okay, so we go out to Twisp, and there's a Forest Falls, and that is where almost 4 generations of the Wrights are, including Justin. And so anyways, when we go out there, we camp. Well, we stayed at a hotel, but his cousins live in Eastern Washington. They bring their big motorhome, come down, and we camp on the Okanogan River right there. Oh, I gotta try that. Okay, the wind, crazy. Anyways, has to do with Justin. And we had waited, Justin died kind of in COVID, sort of. As a matter of fact, when he passed, Ryder asked, when we told him why, we didn't tell him why originally. I told him a couple years ago, but we told him Daddy was sick. And I was going to tell him Daddy got sick because he didn't wear his mask because Ryder wasn't wearing his mask at school. And I was going to do that, but I didn't because I didn't want to, So it was COVID time, so I remember this. So when he died, and obviously everybody was kind of opening, so we wanted to take him out. When Sue died, she died in October, and then we took her out there that May, before fire season starts, because everything burns down. As a matter of fact, when we went back, because Sue and Justin died almost a year to the day apart, and so anyways, we took Sue out there, not June, but then COVID happened, and so we had to delay getting the family together and everything. So it was June. It was Father's Day weekend of 2022, because he died 21. Yeah, 22. And we, James, everybody went. We had got a hotel, the Little Annie Inn or something, in Winston, right next to Twisp. And we had gone that morning. The reason why we didn't camp, the family, is because the campground burned down right after we left that year when we took Sue's ashes. Just came through and wiped it all out. Almost took the town we were in too. And so anyways, this is a town that Sue and Terry lived in when they were married at first, and they were married out of high school. He worked there when they adopted Gina. He worked for DNR, and Gina, Justin's mom, pretty much grew up there a lot until they moved here, like maybe she was teens or whatever. And he was with DNR the whole time. So he knew everybody there. Everybody worked for DNR. A lot of Bigfoot stories going through there because it's nothing but, And so anyways, but on this certain time, this trip, we were all there and we stayed at this motel, and it's the greatest little thing. And they've got like cornhole and all this great stuff. And out on the riverbank, right on the river, you can rent rafts and float the river there. Right on the riverbank, they have a big fire pit and like 3 or 4 chairs there for you to go chill. Nobody was out there, and Ryder and I decided to go out there. And it's about midnight, maybe, and he was handling everything fairly well. He was only 8 at the time. He was 7 when he died, so yeah, he was 8 or 9. 8. He was 8, almost 9. And he liked to just chat. Max says he opens up a lot more to me than he does to her, but that's a normal thing with Mom, and Grandma's, and plus he and I have a different little bond because I had him for so long, and so he's very open with me, and he knows I'm very open with him, and so we're talking about his dad and whatnot, and we're sitting there, and I can't say it was a smell, but this is where people say, that Bigfoot could be alien or whatnot. So it was the clearest, most beautiful night. And we're looking for shooting stars, and we're seeing them. We're seeing tons of them. And we're making wishes. And we're laughing, and we're joking. And I almost fell in the river. We're cracking up. And we smelled something that smelled like the wind shifted it in from over to our right. If we're looking at the river, the hotel's behind us. And it reeked like rotten shit, if shit could be rotten. Okay? And it was quick. It was like, whoosh. There was no wind. It was just like, whoosh, and just went past us. So we're both like, ew, kind of blah. And as we turn our head to look, because we're both looking out the river this way, and this smell came from here, as we did, this stain came from, it wasn't, I can't say if it was from the sky or from the water, but it was a ball. And it was a huge white ball, like you said, the thing you saw that shot up in the sky, but it smelled as it shot, if that makes sense. And it went up, disappeared, and then the biggest ball of something just went right down in front of us into the water. Gone. You can call Ryder and ask him right now. We still freak out. It was like, what? And so the next day I go down, check out, and I tell the lady at the hotel. She goes, oh yeah, all the time people say it's Bigfoot from this, because what they're saying, he's an alien now or whatnot. And I'm like, well, it wasn't a shooting star. It sure the hell wasn't a meteor. And we watched it. I mean, we were both like, what? And I'm thinking, I didn't even think to grab my phone. I didn't think of anything, because you're just like, it's like, it sounds like forever, but it was like, whoop, whoop, but it was just like, He says it's his dad. You know what I mean? He's like, it's my dad. And I said, not with that smell. But that was a trip. But Terry has stories from up and down that way. And the one story he always tells, as we always say, you got any Bigfoot stories? And he says, yeah. He says, when I started working for the DNR, he was 19, I think he was. And they were way up in the Okanogan. And the first story he told us is that many people go missing up there. They get lost. And when they're found, if they're found, every single time they're buck naked. Did you know that? Every single time.
I hear about that a lot.
Yeah, so he said that's number one. Number two, he said, yes, I have Bigfoot stories. I said, what are they? He goes, well, when I started working at 19, we're all sitting down the fire. And there was like 12 of them. And there's a guy who's like the head of the group, and he's like aged in there. He's been with them like 50 years. He's retiring now. He's just this old cowboy, with his tobacco and, chewing. He's sitting there and he goes, what are the stories? He goes, if I had to sit here and tell you stories, I'd never leave here. And that's his story. That's it. That's all I got. So if Terry, he can't talk now because he has cancer, So anyways, but the stories, that he said they were crazy. And sometimes he would enlighten on them, like, people would see the eye shine. But apparently all up in Okinawa up there is huge Bigfoot. Huge. So we camped. We didn't hit. All we had was that weird occasion. But when we camped out there, we didn't have anything happen. But everybody else has stories. So
I've heard a lot about lights and stuff in Okanogan area.
Really?
Yeah. And like orbs, and sometimes people see them in conjunction with Bigfoot too. So
whoa. So many weird things are happening. Now they're talking about the ocean and stuff, and like having, and I'm like, what in the hell? I hope I live long enough, or I hope it's really true when they say that you can, and I do believe that you can watch. I want to see this shit go down, because I'm like, I know Bigfoot's out there. I know he's out. There's too many, and I'm like I said, I am a trust but verify kind of person. I mean, you can tell me everything, and I'm saying, but the minute you leave, if we don't know that it's, I have a problem, like with politics. I'm not going to go there, but with politics, I have no problem with what anybody wants to believe. As long as you can tell me you've done your due justice and you're not listening to people that talk out their ass, then I love people, and I am totally agree with both sides. You know what I'm saying? There's both things on everything. If somebody can tell me that about Bigfoot and somebody can tell me that about UFOs, then there's no need for me to research it. You know what I'm saying? Because like you know that it's factual. But I am super, super skeptical. And I'm telling you, girl, that those were Bigfoots. I know.
I always try to rule everything else out just to be sure, because I don't want to get like too trigger happy,
I always think bear out here, bear.
Mm-hmm. Even Chloe has taken a tracking class, and so if it ever comes to be a question, I'm like, hey, I defer to her, because she's the one who's actually taking.
They have classes?
Yeah, they do.
Where?
You can probably find them online. She took hers with her stepmom.
There's a Sasquatch convention supposedly out in is it Westport?
I'm not sure about Westport. I know there's one in Port Angeles.
Is there?
Mm-hmm. I think it's called SquatchCon. I'll have to double check.
Is it every year?
Yeah, I believe so.
We want to go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to go. We almost went to the one out in Quinault. And why didn't we go? I think COVID happened. Because they had sold, it was like $99 a night for the room or whatnot, and with the group. And so apparently there's a lot out there. Ryder's aunts, because he's Puyallup Tribe, and he's also Quinault. And, but he's registered with Puyallup. But his aunt, Stephanie, I don't know if you met her at the funeral. She was like the little tiny one. She's like literally like smaller than Ryder at the time. She tells story. I mean, yeah, she's got stuff to tell. So, because out in Quinault, because that's where Justin's grandma and everybody were at, and the stories they can tell. And I'm like, on the ocean, and they're like, well, there's woods on the ocean here. Like back home we don't have woods on oceans. But here we do, and the stories. I'm like, wouldn't it be easy to tell by the footprints? And why is it every damn show? They have all this money to go and put into all this production and traveling. And they have some pretty good equipment. But what do their cameras never work or on to show me when that shit comes through? You always, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're like, we smell or we see. I want to see, you know what I mean? Because if my neighbor and me can do it with a Ring camera and freaking and hunting or whatever they call those cameras they put on their trees, then why can't they? You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, God, I don't know. It's like we have to go out there ourselves because I mean, you know, that last Expedition Bigfoot was filmed out here. Did you watch that one?
Mm-mm.
Girl, you got to go watch Expedition Bigfoot. Have you ever watched it at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't really watch a lot of TV.
Expedition Bigfoot's so worth it. Northern California, they start working. They did 2 seasons up here in Mason County. Mm-hmm. And the one in Mason County, you got to watch it, season 5 and 6, I believe. It's the last 2 seasons. Here on my arms. They're right here. And they have a Sasquatch across from the water, and they show it. And he's walking on the riverbank and drops in the water and gone. Yeah. Expedition Bigfoot. You're not going to regret it. So it's a crazy, and they're getting ready to come do another one. And their headquarters, like, oh, I don't know. I want to say it was like Brennan, or they're up by Cushman and all that is where they're at. And they were staked. Cool. Yeah. And they're staked out there, and it's crazy.
There's been a bunch of sightings out there by Cushman too.
And Cushman's not that far.
Yeah.
I was thinking with that fire that they had, it was going to bring a lot of them out.
That's what I thought too. I thought maybe some people were going to see some more sightings as animals ran away from the fire area. Yeah. When my sister, I think my little sister was in middle school and our friend was in high school, but they were walking up Rensland's Creek, which is in Tahuya.
Now Tahuya's on. I always get confused. The other side. North Shore. Okay. I always get Tawana and Tahuya mixed.
Yeah. And it's at like almost the very, very end of North Shore, and the creek bed was dry, so they were walking up the creek bed, and they found one footprint in the middle of the creek bed, like something had like taken a really big step into the middle and then up the embankment.
Wow.
Yeah, and they took a photo, and it was one of those old Samsung flip phones.
And
it was all grainy and in the shadows. And...
Oh my, no, I want to get, like I told Mike, and they have these you can get, because when Mac was pregnant, we made a plaster cast of her belly. And anyways, I'm like, why can't we just carry one of those buckets with us in a backpack? But we got bottles of water, poop, put it in, God.
My friend Elaine and I always talk about that. She has one, and we never bring it with us. We always, like, leave it in the car or something.
Oh, my God. I know, because the day you leave it is the day you're going to need it. You know what I mean? That's why I'm always like, damn. But Mike goes walking with his buddy Scott, who lives in Seabeck. Mm-hmm. Scott swears, he says he hears, and Seabeck has a lot, it's pretty, he sees a lot and hears a lot out there, he said. And so I'm like, I want to hear, because I just like to hear it, because I want to go. I told Mike, this summer is the summer that finally, like, everything's like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I get to do, I don't know if Ryder will go Bigfoot hunting with me, but he's usually my partner in crime.
We could probably convince him to go, because, Chloe loves going with me.
So if Chloe's going, maybe he'll go.
Maybe.
Yeah, because we're the same age, because he just turned 12, so. But yeah. So, and to get about and to do something, because in the summertime, I go over there a lot just to go swimming with them and stuff, but, yeah, to get him out, definitely. And plus, my doctor said I need to get walking more. So, you ever want to go, I got a Jeep. I don't know what you drive, but we'll put that fucking 4-wheel drive, take the tops off, and go. But, I want to go, the Gold Mountain situation, though. Mm-hmm. I have to ask, have you read the story about the guy who says about that he hiked up in there? It's on Reddit, and he said he hiked up in there, and he found, because somebody was hearing the screams or something, and he... Apparently, there's like a no trespass and all these signs or whatnot. He saw some government vehicles, and there's a train.
The ones that drive on the train tracks with the security guards.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I
think I've read that too.
I want to know why. But apparently, so this is what he says in this Reddit, and I'll see if I can find it again, because I think I saved it, or should be in my history. I never clear it. That those train tracks, I guess they lead to PSNS, maybe? Mm-hmm, but it goes into a cavern, a cave. And in that cave, he said that he's seen, when he has trespassed up there twice, he's seen actual train cars come in, and being pulled on the track by those trucks, not an actual engine, pushed in there and closed, and banging and shit coming from the inside of them. I'm like, what? Why do we not have video of this? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know when it was. I can't remember, but I want to say it was within the last decade. But I'm like, oh my God. And he's the same guy who said when he went up the second time, somebody had told him, I don't know if it was a tweaker, told one tweaker who told another tweaker who finally told somebody who made sense of it and put it into words that they had seen, because they had like the door open or something, and there were a cage inside one of them. They were standing about 2 feet, 3 feet from the actual car. The door was open maybe 1.5 feet, but enough to like throw melons and shit in there. I'm like, what in the fuck is in there then? I mean, I just don't know. But apparently that's supposed to be real cuckoo over there.
Oh my God.
And I want to find out.
I read something, I can't remember if it was on the BFRO website or not. Or
BFRO, you said?
Bigfoot Research Organization.
Ooh. I know about the UFO ones I've reported there, because I've seen a huge event go down.
A bunch of people from Mason County started it.
Really? The Bigfoot one?
Yeah. And we went to high school with one of the kids.
Who started it?
One of the dudes who started it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, his kids went to high school with us.
Oh, no way. I'm like, okay.
But
that's awesome. So it's all local then.
Yeah, and I've been interviewed about my road crossing experience by one of the guys who lives in Allen.
Oh, wow.
And I forgot his name. I think it's like Scott or something.
Oh, that's cool.
But I felt really validated after talking to him. I was like, dude, and I just got really excited. And
that's how I felt when I was telling you, because I was like,
yeah, because you just want to get it out.
Yeah, because you're just like, well, somebody, you're not telling somebody who's going, yeah, whatever, you're going, somebody's like, man, they believe too, so. It's
like, oh, shit, I saw that too, what the hell?
It's kind of like how I explained being a parent and a grandparent. So you don't understand the love of a parent until you become a parent. Mm-hmm. And you don't understand the love of a grandparent until you become a grandparent. But you don't understand seeing Bigfoot until you've really seen Bigfoot. And you just know. Like other moms know, other grandparents know. Like we could talk about people that their kids expecting, but they're not born yet. They don't know until it gets there. It's the same flipping way with the UFOs and the Bigfoot to me. It's like you just know when other people know. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Bigfoot back home in California is unheard of. I mean, maybe up in the mountains, but my parents had a cabin up there, and I looked for him a lot, and I never saw him. I looked for the snow prints, all that good stuff. But you start hitting Northern California, which is where the first one, happened, and the second one was in Sutherland, and then later on in life, when I was still in California, you're always hearing Washington State's number one. Now I've heard Virginia is number one. Virginia has a lot of freaking Bigfoots.
That's up in like Appalachia.
Yeah.
And they have all kinds of stuff. Creatures. They have like the skinwalkers, the dogman, and I've heard about a couple dogman sightings in the Pacific Northwest.
What's a dogman look like?
It's basically like kind of like Sasquatch, but it has a snout and is more like a dog. Okay, because that almost sounds kind of like one of the things that James once talking about that he saw over on Razor Road when he was taking Bacchus. Hey! Pipe it down. I'm sure Bacchus has seen a lot living on the power lines. Yeah.
Because he's at the very end of it.
Yeah, all those guys grew up out there and just messed around in the woods. It's like us as kids. We just we were running around the woods in Tulia one time. We were in the woods on our friend's mom's property, and we just heard this crazy thrashing around in the woods, and it wasn't like a tree falling, but it was like something thrashing, but something huge thrashing, and it was so loud, and we went up on the ridge, and we were looking for any sign of anything.
Right.
We couldn't find anything, no broken branches, nothing, and we're like, what the hell? What was it? So,
this dude has been going nutso. I don't know how big, I don't think this is Bigfoot related, but this just happened a week ago. So, obviously through the woods here, we've lived here 19 years. I have looked in those woods many times at night. I've chased things in there without flashlights, with flashlights. Glanced over there when I sit out there at night, because I'll go out there by myself and watch stars, but there's a lot, I like to go out in the middle, but I'm too scared, especially after that freaking situation, and I ditched everybody. I haven't gone out there by myself since at night. Even during the day, I'm a little weary and I take them, but, So had the flashlight, and ever since I saw that kukui, I looked at the gate, and then it was closed, and I was like, okay. So I walked out to the edge. Oh, it was the night it was snowing, and I walked out to the edge of the step right there, and I was barefoot. It was really cold, and I took the flashlight, and I was looking over there, and it was dying. Of course, I put it down, and I look over, and right straight back in the middle, about 7 feet up, on a tree, that color of that fire right there is a light. Just sitting there. So I was like, what? I move around, I look and look at it. I'm like, take my glasses off, turn off the porch light. Still there, like somebody just stuck this big old ball of fire looking light on a tree. And I was like, that's really weird. And it's snowing, and I can see the snow going past it. And anyways, I was like, that's weird. So I grabbed the flashlight, get the battery is by the door, pop it in, put it over there, flash it on it, and it goes out. And it hasn't come back. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on in the woods back there? I don't sit out here at night anymore. I'm like, I pulled the blinds down, I put a blanket across it. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, maybe what Mikey told me all those years, he manifested those weirdos in the woods. That's what I told him the other day. I go, screw you. He goes, why? I go, because something's going on. Because Iggy, so that after that night, that same night, Iggy comes out here and he's manically barking out that window. Just, ah! I let him out and he runs over there and he's running back and forth. And the past 2 nights, he has just started going off looking out over there. And I'm like, I'm not getting that flashlight. I don't want to see that eye shine again because I'm going to have to pack up and move. And I like where I live. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're coming out of hibernation. I don't know if they go into hibernation. I don't know if it's that thing. Even Marcus won't go outside. Ever since I told Marcus about, because Marcus came around the corner. He came in the house, I told you, about an hour after that weird thing happened. And I was like, he's like, no, I've been sleeping. And you could tell he'd been clearly sleeping. He even overslept, and he was in a rush getting showered to go to work. And I was telling him, he's like, what? He won't go outside at night anymore either, unless he's got this big old freaking, 7 dwarf big headlight on. He's always like looking around the corner. But it was scary. I will not go out there. But I'm telling you, and I think it's happening more and more. I mean, I don't know if it's just because the world's going crazy and it's a great diversion. I mean, but I don't think it is. I think it's just more, look here, why this goes here. You know what I'm saying? I think that maybe they're starting to come out more, and I think it's because, like I said, look here, why this happens here. You know what I mean? So
there are some tribes that say that they come out to warn us in times of great difficulty in the world, and then there's other people who are like, it's a blessing to see them.
I've heard that too.
They've shown themselves to us.
I've heard that too.
And it's like, I mean, yeah, it might be a blessing, but it also was really, really scary.
It is. And, when I tell the story from when I was a little kid and saw him on the side, when we were camping, and that was, I would say, wasn't as, it was like, what did I see? Like, whoa, like I said, I was completely unaware of really, except what tiny little bit I was starting to pick up. I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade, and it was the least of my worries. I was more worried about my art kit and the bear that ate my art kit when we were camping. I was more upset about that than anything else, and other stuff like that in the world. But the Loch Ness Monster I was totally into because I would swim in lakes all the time, and I didn't after that. Still don't. But I swim only in pools in the ocean. But with the Bigfoot thing, so the first time I saw him, it was more like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I know. And I tell the story all the time. And I first time I met my husband, I told him the story. And he was like, well, I go, no, I will swear until the day I die. That, absolutely. But when the one happened, when they were doing the whooping and the gunshots and the knocks and all that shit, it was absolutely felt like it was the end of you're done. It was like you're done, but at the same time nobody else has ever been done. But then you start thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe why we don't know anybody's ever seen or been killed is because they eat the bones too. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe. So you start going through all that shit in your head, and like I said, my dad was a very calm, cool, collected man, and he was a great actor. That man was freaking could not cover anything that night. I mean, he just was white as a ghost. I mean, he was white as Iggy's white fur. I mean, just sitting there, just looking out the window, trying to play it off, like, oh, not, And I remember him holding his book. I'll never forget. He was reading Stephen King, and I think it was The Shining, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember him holding the book,
That's a totally great book to read in a time like that.
Oh, right. It was either Shining or Christine, and I can't remember. I think it was a Shining. Salem's Lot. It was Salem's Lot. And anyways, yeah. And I remember that. And I remember my dad, and he never showed. I remember seeing, the paper, and I just remember thinking, oh shit. But I just remembered he has a gun. And I started thinking, does he know how to use a gun? Because I didn't even know he had a gun. So just all that stuff starts going through your head, and you don't just stop like, oh, I just heard a big. I mean, it stays with you, and you're still shaken by it. But it's like an unspoken kind of a thing, if that makes sense. It's like I said, if you've seen it, if you know it, you know it.
That was Jamie from Belfair. Thank you for listening to Kitsap County Squatch Watch. If you have a story you'd like to tell, please email us at kitsapsquatchwatch@gmail.com.